What's going on, guys? Welcome to the channel. If you're new here, welcome for the first time. If you're a returning subscriber, welcome back. You're probably wondering why I have this car behind me. That's because I sold my WRX STI because it was a steaming pile of junk and I got fed up with it. So I bought this brand new to me, 2016 Chevy Cruze with a fierce turbo in this awesome fire truck red. As you can tell, I'm lying. I have my STI right behind me. I am never, ever selling that car. But today, this is my grandmother's 2016 Chevy Cruze with the turbo, and it needs an oil change. So I'm gonna take care of her, and I figured I'd show you how to do an oil change. I realize there's people out there who probably have this car and have never done an oil change on this car or are unsure of how to do it. So right here, we have everything. I have my manual. And for both engines, for both the 1.4 liter and the 1.8, it is 4.25 quarts. I also have the STP extended life oil filter. Here's the part number, and here are other part numbers of other filters that it replaces, and of course they included the new packing that is required. I also have a full 5 quarts of fully synthetic 5W30 oil. It recommends the DEXOS, which is basically just a testing metric. I wouldn't really get hung up in that, but that's a whole thing. We're not getting into that. But it is 5W30, and as you can see, I also got the oil filter. I have everything I need to go under the car. I also have the drain pan. You definitely want to have one because you can't do it without that. I definitely recommend one of these filters. As you can tell, it is wider at the bottom, so you're not there for days. Because I know you are like me. You used to have like a regular standard filter, and you had to pour a little bit, wait for it to drain. Pour a little bit, wait for it to drain. This is probably one of the best oil funnels I've ever used. Highly recommend it. I have a 10mm socket or a crescent wrench or whatever will work for the drain bolt on the bottom. And I recommend that you have a oil filter wrench, or in my case, a crescent wrench. I don't know what size it actually is. It's probably like a 24mm. It's bigger than any socket that I have. I would guess that it's metric because everything else on this car, as far as I could tell, is metric. But fortunately, I was able to get a crescent wrench in there for the oil filter top. You'll see, it's kind of built into the engine, and I'm not a fan of it. I don't like that. But anyway, that's basically what you need. As you can tell, I already have the car up on ramps. I'm going to assume that you know how to drive up on ramps and do all of that. The first thing that I always do is I make sure that my filler cap and my oil filter can be broken loose. Just the way my grandfather always taught me, make sure that you could fill it with new oil or new fluid before you drain it, because if you drain it and then you can't get the cap off or a bolt loose or whatever, then you're kind of screwed. So this is a pretty straightforward, pretty easy oil change, but I figured I'd show you guys. Okay, so under the car, you obviously have your oil drain pan and you have your oil drain bolt. This is a 10mm. It's a little baby. Look how tiny that is. It's a little baby guy. He's just a little guy. I don't know why they used a little 10mm. It's kind of dinky in my opinion, but whatever, it is what it is. I have my 10mm socket and ratchet. This is a brand new Craftsman 3/8 inch drive. I broke my old one and I took it into Lowe's because this little lever here broke. I took it into Lowe's. They honored the Craftsman lifetime warranty. Their CEO put out a statement on that. So if you have Craftsman tools that are broken, you could take them to Lowe's and they'll exchange them. With that being said, all we need to do is break this free. And if I go in the right direction, it helps. And I did not open the top yet because I'm going to try and somewhat keep a vacuum on this. If you ever saw my old oil change video, I opened those first and then I just had a waterfall of oil. So I'm gonna try and avoid that, but we'll see. Gonna use some science. Oh, there we go. That's not too bad. Oh yeah. Then we're gonna head up top and loosen that bolt. So this is a quarter turn. Take that off, set it right there. Your oil filter is down here. It's a really weird place and it's built into the engine. As I mentioned, it's probably like a 24mm. I don't have that. I have this 8-inch crescent wrench, which you could kind of work in here, and that works for me. It's obviously not ideal, and I already broke this free just to make sure that I wasn't totally screwed. But yeah, you can kind of work it in there, flip it around if you have to, And once that's loose, you can just loosen this up by hand. Unfortunately, this hose clamp, if you can see that, is kind of in the way, so I have to jimmy it around that hose, which kind of sucks. But this comes off, and I'm going to set that aside. Then the oil filter element itself just pops out, and then we're going to pop in the new one. Okay, so this cap has an O-ring on it. I have this tool right here. You could use whatever you want. This old O-ring pops right off, and we're going to put on the new one. So I have my new O-ring here. I'm going to grab some of this oil. Doesn't matter if it's new or old, but you don't ever want to install an O-ring dry. And then this pops right on. There you go. So with my new filter, I could just slide it back into place. Now I have my cap. It says to tighten it down to 25 Newton meters, which converts to exactly 1.75 oogadogas. Obviously it's plastic, so you just want to snug it up. You just want to seal that O-ring in there tight. Again, I don't have a socket for this. It is definitely a 24 millimeter that you would need, but I do have my crescent wrench, and that's what I'm going to use to snug it up. Okay, back underneath the car, we are going to replace this drain bolt. I'm going to tighten it by hand, then I'm going to crank it down. Again, here it says 14 Newton meters, which is about 2.5 oogadogas. Ooga, and one more dooga, and a little bit more. Right there. Perfect. So that's all there is to it. I have it on ramps. I know a lot of people frown on ramps, but I don't care. I don't have a lift. It's not that serious. I'm gonna take it off these ramps on the level, then I'm gonna double check my levels and top it off, and then we'll be good to go. The very last thing you need to do is reset the car's oil life. I already did this the other day, so it's not going to show up, but normally you'll have a message if you've gone too far without changing the oil that you have 0 oil life left, and it's a message that continually pops up. All we have to do is use the button here on this stock that says menu, and if you click that, then you'll see the message on the dash says remaining oil life left is 100%, obviously because I just changed it. But whenever you press that button, that's what switches between your trip and your other features and the option. Whenever you press that, it will flip over to option, remaining oil life, right? Then to reset it, there's a button in the end of this stock, so you press that inward, and it brings up this secondary message which says, are you sure you want to reset? Yes, I am sure. And then you press this up that has this little thing over here. Go up, yes, and then you press that button in once again, and then it will reset it. Usually it will take a second to reset, and then it will show that you have 100% life left. Obviously, I'm not really a big fan of this. I don't know. I'm old school. I like the little push button in the odometer thing. If you know what I'm talking about, then you know. And it just resets your odometer, and I just use that to track my mileage in my STI. Same with my mom's WRX, but Chevy, for whatever reason, wanted to get all fancy with this doodad thing here, menu, push, right? I don't know. I'm not a fan of like this kind of stuff, but whatever. That's how you get rid of that annoying message if you changed your oil or if you haven't changed your oil. It's up to you, but that's how you do it. So that is how you change the oil on a 2016 turbocharged Chevy Cruze. Tomorrow I need to change the front pads on this car, so if you don't know how to do that, be sure to keep an eye out for that video. But with that being said, I hope you guys learned something. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll catch you in the next one.